disciplined enough to practice it. Okay, the first thing you need to understand is that how you start your day is going to have an impact. So the first thing you don't want to do, the thing you don't want to do is start your day off by engaging in something you don't have a control over. And that's that phone. Leave that phone alone when you wake up in the morning. Why? Because it immediately takes your personal sovereignty. What does that mean? You don't get to control what happens when you pick up that phone. You don't get to control what's on the other end. You don't want to engage in things that you can't control at the beginning of the day. You want to go into an environment where you are absolutely in control, where you get to establish and declare and set the state of your mood and how you're going to be. If you open that phone and the wrong thing is on that phone, it's going to have an impact on your mood. Therefore, it's going to have an impact on your entire day. Set that phone down and do the things you need to do to stop your day. Now, a bunch of things I teach my clients on how to set their state, how to prime themselves mentally and emotionally for the day. But I'm going to give you the simplest of all these practices. It's one I use. I use several every day. I literally take one, set it, and then I anchor it with two more. But I'm going to give you the first one, the simplest one, the one anyone can do. You don't have to know how to practice it. It's just simple. You've seen it done a million times. You've probably done it a million times. And you just haven't done it the way I'm going to show you, because I'm going to teach you something about yourself. All right, first and foremost, get up, go in the bathroom, turn on the light, look yourself in the mirror. Before you do anything, before you start to critique your body, before you start to critique the lines in your eyes or the gray hair or whatever what's going on, where you start to normally look at yourself and you start to tear yourself down, you start to look, and the more you look at yourself in a negative sense, the more you start to build these mental ideas of what you got to face in the day. And before you know it, you got this cascading negativity coming, and you just started your day. Go in there this time, before you think about anything, look at yourself in the mirror, give yourself a high five, give your reflection in that mirror a high five. Literally touch the mirror, touch hands, give it high five. I know it sounds crazy, but let me tell you, it's scientifically backed. It's not something that Rick came up with in the back in the back room in his house or anything like that. This is literally me being who I am in something that I'm very passionate about in my craft, is knowing the best ways to be effective myself, but also the best ways to teach other people how to be effective. So what happens when you do that? Well, there's this thing called embodied cognition. This thing called embodied cognition, and with embodied cognition, it's about doing things with your body that the mind already has a predisposed idea of what it means. If you sit up straight and square your shoulders, if you hold your head up high, the body knows and the brain knows that that's a position of triumph, that's a position of positivity, that's a position of optimism and everything positive. And what happens is, you can't square your shoulders and hold your head up and the brain not start to align. Now, one or two things happens. Now, your brain is powerful. So when your brain first sees, your brain goes, well, all this stuff going on, what do you, but if you sit up there and hold that position, the brain says, well, maybe this is where I'm supposed to be. So the brain starts to sit up and align with the body. So when you sit up and you talk about giving yourself a high five, that's associated with doing something great. You give somebody a high five when they've done something great or you've done something great. It's a positive thing. It is a moment of triumph. It is a moment that says, I've done something awesome. Well, when you wake up in the morning, you're doing that and you're automatically telling yourself, this is going to be an awesome day. We're going out there. We're going to get it. We're going to knock it out of the park. It's going to be awesome. Now, what happens? Is it just me sitting up and thinking, man, this sounds cool, this feels great, it felt great for me, so maybe it'll feel great for everybody else? Absolutely not. The Harvard Business School conducted a study. And when you can wake up and set your intentions during the day, and that's what you're doing, you're going to give yourself a high five. Say, man, today's going to be a great day. Man, we're going to do awesome. No matter what happens, we're going to win today. It's going to be great. You're giving yourself a high five. You're getting excited. You're pumping up. You're releasing the right hormones, the right endorphins into your brain. And now there's this mood and there's this idea. And so now you're in this positive state. Doesn't mean that things aren't going to happen, but you're going to approach these things from a different perspective. Why? You're not approaching it from a place of defeat. You're not approaching it from a place of despair. You're not approaching it from a place of desperation. You're approaching it from the place of a champion, from a place of a winner, from a place of a person who knows they came to see and conquer the things of the day. They expect some challenges, but they are built for it. So they come out high five. Awesome. What does that do? Well, according to the study conducted by Harvard Business School, setting your attention increases productivity. It definitely impacts the manner in which you perform as a leader throughout the day. It increases your confidence and it improves your mood throughout the entire day. So, literally, the first 2 minutes of your day can literally lay the blueprint and the foundation for how you're going to operate during the day, no matter what happens. See, that's the thing that you've got to become accustomed to if you're going to live life at the next level. Is things are going to happen outside of your control, and you've got to know how to confront it. You've got to know how to engage it, and you got to have the right level of confidence to know that no matter how dark it looks. Because let me tell you something, the people that have been inspirational to me, and I hope I've been inspirational to a lot of people, but the people who have been inspirational to me aren't people that I looked at and said, man, they just had this unbelievable life and they just soared through life. They just never had any hiccups. I look at people who have, even after reaching high levels of success, had moments. Because see, that's my life. I had this point where I've achieved success, but then here comes something. And what I realize is that's the stuff that my great-grandfather was telling me about. My great-grandfather would tell me, son, let me explain something to you. In this life, you're going to be in one of three places. And you probably heard me tell this story a million times. He said, you're going to be in one of three places. He said, you're either going to be going into a storm, you're going to be in a storm, or you're going to be coming out of the storm. That's life. You don't get to get around that. You don't get to circumvent that. You're going to have to do that. He says, don't get caught up in the fact that you're in the storm or you're going into the storm. What you should be focused on is making sure that you come out of the storm a better person than when you went in. That's your responsibility. He says, son, if you can master that, if you can master coming out of the storm better than when you went in, you won't have to chase greatness. Greatness will overtake you. It will pursue you and overtake you. You simply have to know how to go into challenges knowing that you're built to overcome them. You got to go into the challenge knowing that the challenge can't break you. You have to go into the challenge knowing that no matter what happens, if I'm still breathing, I'm still in the fight. If I'm still breathing, I'm going to win this thing. I'm coming out of it. Sometimes you don't even know how. That's those moments again. I go into the restroom. I shut the door. I turn the light on. I look at myself and I have this smile on my face and I square my shoulders and I give myself this look that if you were to look at me and not know, you would swear this dude is on top of the world. I give myself that look and then I say, you're built for this. Now let's go get it. At the time that I do that, every time that I do that, I'm doing that before the answer comes. But see, I have the confidence and understanding that I have a connectivity with the Most High that guarantees that the answer is on the way. That's beautiful thing about this thing is that the answer is on the way before I ever start seeking it. The moment I realize there's a problem, the answer is already on the way. There's this thing. One of my favorite stories, and I don't want you to get lost in this. If you're not a religious person, I feel you. I'm not either, but I definitely love to look into stories and see how they function and how they apply spiritually. And one of my favorite stories in the Bible is the one about Daniel and the dream he didn't understand that he had, and he prayed to God, and he fasted and prayed for 3 weeks. 21 days, nothing. And all of a sudden on the 21st day, angel appeared. And it say all the men around him were frightened and they fell to their feet or they fled. And so it was just Daniel and this angel. And this angel told Daniel to stand up and not be afraid. But the angel told him, he says, from the moment that you set your heart to understand, your prayers were heard. And I am here because of your prayers. While you've been waiting, the answer was already on its way. There are some things that happen in time that you can't explain, that's happening in a different dimension and in a different realm that you're unaware of, that may be the reason why what you want to happen now isn't happening, but you don't fold on it. You don't give up on it. So many people are tossing away visions, dreams, ideas, inventions, businesses, because it's not happening in your time. Anchor yourself in faith. Anchor yourself in the belief that it's your destiny. Anchor yourself in a place that you know, if I maintain my faithfulness. What does faithfulness mean? I don't mean that in some religious, spiritual. I mean faithfulness says I'm going to wake up every day and put in work. Faithfulness says, I'm going to keep a right mindset because I understand negativity attracts negativity. I'm not going to sit up and whine and complain. I'm going to speak it as if it's already done. I'm going to declare it and then it will be established. I'm going to speak as, oh, I've already walked in it. I'm going to envision it so clearly that I can smell it. I can touch it. I can feel it. And then those emotions will emanate into my present existence and push back the anxiety. I'm talking to you. I want you to pay attention. Just something as simple as waking up in the morning, going in the restroom and giving yourself a high five. See, here's the thing. Let me tell you something about why is that important? Well, most of us have been conditioned to be overcritical of ourselves when we're not performing at the level that we should. We're overcritical. We break ourselves down. We tear ourselves down about our physical appearance. We tear ourselves down about what we earn for a living. We tear ourselves down by where we live and where we could be living and where we want to live, where we thought we would be at this particular age, in this particular juncture in our life. And we just consistently, well, what I can tell you personally is that there's no science that supports the fact of being overcritical of your life does anything to motivate you or change your reality. Matter of fact, it does more to tie you down and break you down psychologically and emotionally and spiritually than it does to help. So what does help? Here are the things that help: empowerment, encouragement, support, and celebration. Those things are what will lift you. Those are the things that will give you the energy you need to push through. Those are the things that will set your mind in the right place to attract the right things around you, because energy is resonant. If you're constantly operating in a negative place, you're going to do nothing but attract negative energy, and you're going to have problems. There's a reason why that all the ancient scriptures from the Bible and so forth are telling you to guard your mind. Because your thoughts produce your reality. Your thoughts. We can go to, for those of you who know the Bible, or those of you who claim the Christian faith, or those of you who simply love great, strong principles, we can go to one of my favorite passages. If you follow me, you've definitely heard me talk about it many times. 2 Corinthians chapter 10, starting at verse 3. For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war according to the flesh. We spend so much time looking at what's manifested in the third dimension that we forget that the war is being waged in the fourth and the fifth dimension. And so we end up not being prepared, and we end up creating situations for ourselves by the way we think. But it says, for though we walk in the flesh, we do not war according to the flesh, for the weapons of our warfare aren't carnal, but they're mighty in God for the pulling down of strongholds. Then it starts to tell you how this works. It says, casting down arguments and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God. So everything that you have declared in your mind that's yours, everything that you have declared that belongs to you, everything that you have declared that you desire, anything that moves in opposition of that, you got to cast it down. The thoughts of it's not going to work, cast it down. The thoughts of I'm not good enough, cast it down. The thoughts of somebody's going to stop this, the thoughts of all, cast it down. It doesn't stop there though. What does it say? And while you're casting down the opposing ideas and forces, bring every thought into captivity. Your thoughts are to operate under your command. You don't allow the drifting of your mind to open you up to anxiety, to open you up to fear, to open you up to all these negative possibilities. Do you realize that 60% of what people worry about never happens? Do you understand the negative and devastating force of worry and anxiety and stress? It kills. It creates heart disease, hypertension. It can lead to stroke. It can lead to organ failure. Because why? When you start to have these moments where you are in hyper stress, and especially the more prolonged they are, when you're in these moments where you're just worrying constantly, your body is in a fear or stress response mode, and it is releasing cortisol and adrenaline into the blood. That's why when you start stressing, you feel your heart rate picking up. That's the adrenaline. And then you start to sweat, and you start like, what the world is going on? That's cortisol in the body. Cortisol and the adrenaline is there to make sure that you're ready to fight or run, fight or flight response, right? But what are you fighting and what are you running from? Your problem isn't something you can fight with your hands. It's not something you can run from with your feet, but the body is responding in the most ancient way it knows how against a threat. But the threat is in your mind. So what do you have to fight the threat? In your mind. So now you got to find a way to bring yourself back down to get that out. The way to do that is to not allow it to happen. You have to tell yourself, hey, I'm built for this. Now, here's the beautiful thing. Here's the beautiful thing that I learned myself in one of the most difficult times. It's okay. The most empowering forces in motivation, I just told you, empowerment, encouragement, support, and celebration. But you know what our problem is? The vast majority of us have outsourced the responsibility for those practices to someone else. We're looking for someone else to empower us. We're looking for someone else to encourage us. We're looking for someone else to support us. We're looking for someone else to celebrate us. And we should actually be doing that ourselves. But we've been told don't do that. But we should be celebrating ourselves. Why? Because in having the ability to celebrate myself, I never have to wait on someone else to do it. I never have to hope that somebody sees the beauty in what's going on at the moment, or the potential that I have, or what I just accomplished. Because some of the things I accomplished, nobody will ever know but me. It's done behind the scenes. It's to make me a better person when I am presenting myself, but it's needed to be done in the back. Now, I celebrate it. Why? Because if I don't get that done, the product that I put on the stage, the product that I put on the video camera, the product that I put in my books, the product that I put in my articles and my research won't be what it is, because I didn't do the little things that nobody will ever know about. So I celebrate those things. I encourage myself when I'm having one of those moments where it seems like it's all stacking up against me. Say, you're built for this. You got this. Let's go get it. And we're going to make it happen. I don't need to know how at the time I do it. One of the biggest mistakes I think people make is they go out and decide that's something they want to do, and then they sit down and they start writing down the plan, and they realize they don't know how they're going to do it, and they table it, or they trash it. Why? Because I don't know what I'm going to do. Well, let me tell you something. Anytime you're setting out to do something that you've never done before, chances are pretty much you're not going to know how to do it. Where to get? That's not your responsibility. I've heard Les Brown say this a bunch of times, and I agree with him. And even William Hutchinson Murray agrees with him some 100+ years ago when he. But Les Brown will say that when you are making a decision on whether or not you're going to do something new, something extraordinary, something phenomenal, something exciting, how you're going to do it is none of your business. That's where we make the first mistake. It's not until we decide we're going to do something, we make that first step to be committed to it, that the doors of providence open. There are a bunch of things that are waiting on you to sit up and say, I'm committed. I'm going out and I'm going to make it happen. I don't even know how I'm going to make it happen, but I'm going out here and I'm about to blow this thing completely out of the water. Then all of a sudden, God opens up the floodgates of ideas, of resources, of people, and it happens. It's amazing. Faith is waiting on you to take action. You're trying to figure out something that you're not even supposed to be figuring out. What you're supposed to be doing is making up in your mind and being committed. But let me tell you something, and then I'll be done. It's the last part I want to share with you. The back to the high fives and the positive gestures that you're doing to yourself in the mirror, and you're saying, what in the world? And I'm telling you, it works. It works. But there was a study done by the NBA, and what they found is they could literally predict with great accuracy the teams that would most likely make it to the playoffs. And it was some of the in the criteria being used was extremely simple, and you would not give it much consideration. It wasn't based on level of talent. It wasn't based on who the coach was. It wasn't based on how many all-stars were on the team. A bunch of other things that people normally look at, power rankings, anything. It was simply based on how many high fives, how many fist bumps, how many chest bumps, how many backpats a team had in a game. And they would do this during the preseason. So over the entire preseason, they would sit up and they would count how many fist bumps. And why was this? Because those behaviors create trust and partnership. the more you see it in its natural state and things, it's saying, not only am I here to support you, I believe in you, you can count on me, I'm a part of what you're fighting for, you're a part of what I'm fighting for. It builds trust and it builds partnership. Trust and partnership is huge in any team sport. And when you can do that, you create cohesiveness where they play together. And a lot of times you'll find them beating teams that may have superior talent because they're playing together. It's a common goal. It's the ability to trust. I'm going to be where you need me to be when you need me to be there. And here's the beautiful thing. There's nothing you need to do more right now than to create that partnership of trust with yourself. Before I had the ability to create this beautiful, wonderful relationship I have with my wife, I had to have a partnership of trust with myself. I had to believe in myself enough to know that I could show up and be a husband. I had to believe in myself enough to show up that I can show up and deliver on what I promised. I had to believe in myself enough to know that I can handle all of the challenges and the adversities that would show up in the middle of the marriage. I had to believe and stand strong in that. So I had to build a partnership of trust with myself before I could build a partnership of trust with her. And that goes with every other partnership that I've built. It's built off of my belief and trust in myself first. And that's what's going on. If you believe in yourself, that's where your confidence comes from. Remember, we talked about that a few seconds ago. It's where the confidence comes from. It's where you develop this ability to know against all things moving against you, you just know. That's the difference between people who live in this place of being average and mediocre and the people who excel and do exceptional and extraordinary things in this life. It's simply that they believe in themselves because of their belief in whatever is driving with me. It's my belief in God as the driving force and designer of my destiny. It's bigger than me. And I have a place in it. And I plan on delivering in my place and in my responsibility. So I decided a long time ago, I'm not going to outsource something as important as empowerment, encouragement, celebration, and support. I'm not going to outsource it. Now, if it comes from the outside, that's great, but I'm going to encourage myself. I'm going to empower myself to do things that are beyond what people expect. I'm going to celebrate myself and I'm going to provide myself the support I need by reaching out and connecting with sources of energy, sources of knowledge, sources of capacity that will empower me to do the things I do. I am not sitting around waiting on permission from someone else to be great. I'm not sitting around waiting on permission from someone else to do something outside of the box. I challenge you. Stop waiting on someone to see the greatness in you. Wake up in the morning and declare it. It is not based on how you feel. There are times I wake up and I feel like crap. There are times I'm going through some things that if the average person dealt with it, they would totally fold. It's not based on how I feel. It's based off of the fact that I'm going to wake up every morning and I'm going to show up. That's the promise I made to God years ago at the worst time of my life. I said, this isn't about me begging you to get me out of this. I'm here and I'm going to show up every day. And so my promise and my agreement with God is if you wake me up, I'll answer the bell. That's all I need you to do. I know that you've already gifted me with everything I need. You've already set everything in motion in this world to respond to my faith and my activity and my energy. So I already know if I just wake up and put in the work, there's absolutely nothing that can stop me. And I've been waking up and answering the bell ever since. My challenge to you, it's time for you to show up. It's time for you to answer the bell. It's time for you to be present in your moment. It's time for you to check back in and declare every morning what an awesome day you're about to experience. Not because it won't have challenges, not because it won't have setbacks, not because it won't be some frustrating, but because you're built for it, because you have everything inside of you to take it on and win. That's my challenge. And as I said, I'm about to get out of here. I live my life on full. Man, you don't know what that means to me. I wake up every day, I put my life in high drive. When it's time to rest, I rest. When it's time to sleep, I sleep. But when it's time to work, I work. And when I'm talking about work, I'm not just talking about what I'm doing here at this office. I'm talking about what I'm doing at home. I'm talking about what I'm doing with my wife. I'm talking about what I'm doing with my children. I'm talking about what I'm doing in planning for the future and helping other people. I'm talking about making every moment matter. Because one day I won't be here. And all I will have is what I've left behind to speak of me. So you have to ask yourself, am I leaving a legacy strong enough to speak of me after I'm gone? Or will, within a year or two after my death, there'll be only a few people who even speak my name? And it should matter to you, because that's a testimony to whether you came and you did what you were sent here to do by the designer and the creator. Did you show up? Did you make your presence felt? Were you a good representative of the faith you claimed? Or did you just exist? Did you just live? Or even worse, just survive? What are you writing in the narrative of every moment that you live that will speak of you when you're gone? That's the question each and every one of you should be asking yourself. And on that note, look, I'm going to get out of here. But as I said at the beginning of this video, I am super excited about the Savage in 6 Weeks program that we just released this week. It is the combination of literally 3+ years of work, of responding to a strong push of requests from people who wanted a more condensed program that was more affordable, but got results. And anybody who knows me, I prefer to work with people anywhere from 12 weeks up. So most of my clients are on what's known as the Platinum program. It is 52 weeks of intensive engagement, and we get results always. But not everybody's prepared to make that commitment. Not everybody can afford to make that commitment. So this is where we meet on the middle ground. This is where we get results. This is where we get you launched into the next stratosphere. For those who are real serious, and only those who are serious, because time is immensely valuable to me, and it should be to you. And if you're not going to be 100% committed to something, don't even waste your time doing it. Find the things that you're going to be all out in. Those are the things you give yourself to. But those who are ready, click that link at the bottom of the description box and go read and learn more about it. If you're serious, go ahead and enroll, and someone from the support team at the Visionetics Institute will contact you to initiate the process and ultimately get you set up to work with me directly one-on-one. And I look forward to it. On that note, I am out of here. You guys have an unbelievable day. A fundraiser that you support what the Odyssey Project is doing in the inner cities, especially with programs like Black Men Lead, which is a rite of passage initiative, and Restoring Ghetto's Forgotten Daughters, which is a program focused on helping young girls, but boys as well, suffering from childhood sexual abuse, rape, molestation, domestic abuse, absentee fatherhood, and so many other things. The information will be in the box. Thank you.